Hello and welcome to the first ever Pretty Good podcast. My name is Mike Williams. I'm joined by Mr. Gareth Evans.
Hello.
Today we're going to be discussing Horizon Zero Dawn and For Honor. But first, Gareth, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I was lucky enough to get my hands on a eye tracker. I think we covered it in a video a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. We've got these Tobii eye trackers now, and to try that out, I was playing Dying Light, which is the first time I played this game.
Yeah.
So, I threw that on, and I've been interfacing with my eye tracker. I've been playing Dying Light. It was pretty fun. The game itself, wow, if you haven't played it, it's a good game.
Yeah, it's very solid
game.
Yeah.
And isn't it made by the people who made Dead Island?
Yeah, Techland, yeah. So there's a lot of similarities with Dead Island, really. Mechanically very similar, but Dying Light is just a more complete, kind of polished game. A lot of people would actually say it's kind of Game of the Year material. I don't know if I would go that far, but it is a very, very enjoyable game. And since they've added some expansions and stuff like that, it is very good. But tell us about the eye tracker. Like, how does that add to the experience?
Well, the eye tracker was fun. It integrates... I don't know. I want to save it for the review. We're going to be doing a review on this in future. I don't really want to give too much away.
But your kind of review in progress, pre-review thoughts.
You're trying to force me to say things against my will now, Mike. Taking a gun to my head here. I enjoy the integration. I enjoy the potential. I enjoy. There's some parts that are really cool. I'm not going to go into detail now. There are some things that could be done better. But in general, it seems like I rather play with it than without it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. But like as you kind of you measure it up with VR, which is obviously like the big technology, the big gaming technology at the moment. How do you think it weighs up against VR in terms of how successful it might be, like how good it is to use?
I think it's not fair to compare to VR because VR is maybe 5 times as expensive, maybe perhaps even more. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be as good as VR. It only has to be 1/5 as good as VR. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Value for money proposition. I'm always, I'm a businessman. I always look for the value in something. And is it worth the money? That I will say for the review. But in opposition to VR, it has different. It's just so easy. You just plug it in and go, and that is something that you don't get with VR. VR, you have to move your desk around. You have to move especially with the HTC Vive anyway. But PlayStation VR, even you have to commit yourself to it. You can't be having conversations with other people.
Yeah.
Like with the eye tracker, I stand up and move away from my computer. The game automatically pauses.
Yeah.
I don't have to take a headset off. Yeah. I don't have to think about not listening to other people, having a conversation with other people. I can still do all of that and play a game and have an extra bit of control of the game. Yeah. So it is handy. It is good.
That's pretty cool.
I'm enjoying it.
That's pretty cool.
Can I talk about Dying Light a little bit?
Go on, yeah.
Because I'm dying to tell you what I think about Dying Light. Because we don't really do a lot of reviews on this channel.
Not yet.
We're looking to do that. We're in talks, aren't we, Mike? About
negotiations.
Yeah, we're negotiating. We don't agree how we should do it. Basically, that's a diplomatic way of saying we're not on the same page just yet, but we'll get there. So, Dying Light, in a kind of summary, my first impressions as a review for the people who haven't played it, it's such a good game. I'm liking it so much, and it reminds me so much of Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas.
Right.
The way that you don't interact with people and you don't have multiple choice, but the way that it's kind of seamless that you have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
That reminds me so much of it. Okay, there's this. It's an open world. There's a main quest and there's side missions. Some of them are fetch missions, which was the negative. It was like I felt like I was just traveling somewhere to do something, then traveling back. Is Fallout the same kind of thing? I don't know. That was my criticism. Going on, I think it's another similarity. There's the lockpicking mechanic, which was enjoyable. That was like a throwback to the old Fallout.
Yeah. Any kind of lockpicking, I'm like, it's like Oblivion, because that was the first game. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, the first game I ever played with lockpicking. So every other game seems to be reminding me of that. But yeah,
I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the. I was I was grabbed initially by the story about who you are and the setting, and you know, there's difficult decisions that you make. Obviously, you don't make the decisions yourself, but your character makes difficult decisions where he has to destroy some antizin that he knows people need, but for the greater good, for his cause, for his mission, he has to destroy it in order to go somewhere else that he needs to do. So he's doing bad things to get a good result for the greater good, as it's called. So it's this kind of moral ambiguity. You don't know whether you're doing the right thing or nothing. I'm a bit suspicious about the person giving me orders. I'll tell you that. Whether it pans out so much or not, I don't know. But it's interesting. It's an interesting story. It's quite captivating, and there's not many games these days that do that for me. There are so many games that I'll just pick up, and in 5 minutes, it's like, I don't care for this person. I don't care for this story. But this is different, and that's why I wanted to get that off my chest and say that Dying Light, I'm enjoying it. 6 hours in with the eye tracker, it's all going well.
Awesome.
So can we switch to what you've been playing?
Yeah, well, one game that does not have eye tracker support, but is awesome regardless, is Nioh that I've been playing. Nioh, as a huge fan of Bloodborne, I've got to say I was very surprised with how much I actually liked Nioh. I mean, we did the review roundup of it when it came out, and we were discussing it and what all the critics were saying and things, but it really didn't dawn on me until I was playing, until 2 or 3 hours in. I was really satisfied with the combat. So quick, so snappy. Everything happens instantly, which is what I loved about Bloodborne.
Yeah, the combat is awesome.
Nioh, it's so tight. Like you press the attack button, and that's it. You're already attacking. It feels like you're already doing what you want to do. Have you played around with different stances? Because there's like a low stance, mid stance, and a up stance. So it's very flexible. It's very versatile. There's so many different ways. Like, do you enjoy that aspect of it too? Is that the same as Bloodborne? Bloodborne is different. There aren't stances, but the weapons, the classes of weapons make it. They make a difference in Nioh, of course. Like a heavy axe is a lot different to a kind of dual swords or whatever. In Bloodborne, there's only a very small handful of weapons to actually use. Every one of them handles completely differently to the others, and so it does things a little bit differently. But in Nioh, the stances, that's something that kind of it gripped me quite quickly, because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. Like, all of them have their merits, and then you just experiment with what you like, and you might use light weapons, but heavy attacks with light weapons because they're that bit quicker than so whatever. So there's a lot of balancing to be done, and I think that is one thing that Nioh does that it was better than Dark Souls and Bloodborne, is that it gives you this depth of this so much stuff to decide, so many items to pick up, so many weapons to choose, so many stats to think
more RPG about. Elements in it.
There is, it does certainly feel that way. I mean, obviously Dark Souls is incredibly deep, so is Bloodborne, but this just takes things up that extra notch. Another thing I love about it is just the setting, just it's so great. It's so captivating someone who loves kind of Japanese culture anyway, I guess it's quite natural that I'd like that kind of thing, but it wraps this real world kind of, what would Japan have looked like to a European or an American kind of settler, or a traveler or whatever, and it gets that kind of sense, but then wraps it in all this mythology and all this these insane monsters and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just really.
How far into it? How many hours have you put into it?
I've put about 6 or 7, I'd say. But it's the nature of this kind of game. You're retreading the same steps a lot of the time. I mean, which is why it makes it kind of niche. I mean, you've had some personal experience.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got such mixed feelings about Nioh. I love it so much, and it annoys me so much as well. It's like I'm on level 3. Okay, out of 20, and I've put like 8 or 9 hours into it, and I've I've never played Blood. I'll give you some context. I've never played Bloodborne, never played Dark Souls to any extent, a serious extent. So it's kind of I'm loving the gameplay in this. I love the gameplay. I want more of it, but I can't get more of it because I can't get past that fucking bitch in the end of level 3. Oh my god, and the problem for me is, it's not a problem, but it's good too. It's like you've got to play through the level, kill all the bad guys, like clear most of it out, so it makes it easier for you to get to the boss. But when you die, then once you're at the boss, you can get there quicker than you could do before. because you've like kind of opened up
a gate,
a route or something to get there, which is awesome. But you've only got a few attempts at killing the main boss, and then you're running out of like the equipment that you need, and then you have to go from the level, go to the salesperson or whatever, get some more equipment, and then try it again. But when you try it again, you can't go from where your checkpoint was. You've got to go from the beginning of the level, and then it takes another half an hour to get to the boss, and you're like, fucking hell. It's like, really?
Well, it's a way of thinking about it, really. It's kind of the mentality is... Dark Souls especially kind of puts this on you, that don't worry if you lose all of your, if you lose all of your experience, you lose all your souls, you can just farm, you can get them all back. That's you've got to change your mentality when you play this. Nioh is it maybe doesn't put that on you. It just assumes that you know Dark Souls and you know Bloodborne, and it doesn't try to encourage you to change your kind of mentality of playing the game, because it expects that you're already open to it. You already know how this thing goes, because Bloodborne and Dark Souls kind of exist. But yeah, Nioh, I mean, so far so good. I'm willing to stick with it. I mean, I did get stuck on, as someone who probably would put Bloodborne in my top 10 games of all time, seriously, I didn't feel like that a lot of the time when I was playing it, because I was so frustrated, like you were. But then when you look back on it, and it's kind of an experience that you just don't...
Yeah.
It's something special.
I love Nioh, without a doubt, but I don't. It's a time sink. I don't have I've got kids to look after. I've got a wife. I've got a business to run. I've got other hobbies that I pursue. It's like I don't have the 50 hours it's going to take me to get halfway through the game, and that's what's kind of frustrating for me. That I've got so much love for this game and how we play it. There was 2 points where I put the controller down. I was like, I'm never playing this fucking game again, because I was so frustrated. And I was literally committed to it. Half an hour later, it took me half an hour to break my will and to think, this gameplay is just too good. I need to pick it up again.
I mean, it does kind of enthrall you in that way, and this is kind of something mystifying about it. But so far, I would put Nioh is just as good, to me, just as good as Dark Souls. And maybe the mistake that I made with Dark Souls is I played Bloodborne first, and I liked Dark Souls. I didn't love it. I didn't love it the way that I love Bloodborne, because Bloodborne's so quick and so sharp and so snappy. But that's what... And obviously the world as well is so weird. The world of Bloodborne is incredible, and there's something about Nioh that is almost at that level for me, with the same as Bloodborne, where it's just a strange and an interesting world, and it is very fast and very satisfying to play. So yeah, I mean, it's almost up there so far. I'm feeling those same kind of feelings that I had with Bloodborne. But since we're talking about PlayStation exclusives, let's move on to Horizon.
Seamless transition there, Mike. Well done.
There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, the reviews have come out for this. We've got a review roundup.
Horizon Zero Dawn
in the works as we're recording this. Horizon Zero Dawn. It's got an 88 on Metacritic so far. It's been really strongly reviewed, and Sony have said that they hope Aloy, or I've heard all kinds of pronunciations. They hope that she's going to be like an icon, a mascot, maybe the new Nathan Drake kind of thing. That's how they're talking about her. So do you think, having seen the reviews that have come out, do you think that maybe they're onto something with this? Do you think she could...
It depends.
Is the game good enough? Is the game strong enough?
It depends. Indications are, that it is going to be good enough, but I don't know. Maybe she is. Let's just say yeah. I'll just say yes, because it's easier. I don't know. I haven't played the game, so it's difficult to say at this stage.
Well, that's another point I was going to bring up. We're a week before release, and reviewers are already getting their reviews online, which is pretty cool. I mean, I'm so delighted to see this happening. A review is the game in its bare self. You've given it to critics whose job is to criticize that. To get that a week before a game comes out is great, and it's quite encouraging for me, because someone who's quite naturally quite skeptical of things that I see about the games industry and things like that is really encouraging for me to see that. And I think what it is about Horizon, that it's got that perfect kind of chemical mix that The Witcher had, where you've got lots of original, interesting content that critics really love, and you've got just lots and lots and lots of things to do, all hours and hours of content, which is what players love. They want value for money. So it's got that kind of holy balance of good, interesting stuff and lots of it. So I think it's going to be up there on a few Game of the Year lists. probably, just judging by the critical reception and the type of game it is. Big open world game like this.
Yeah, for me, open world games like this, they have to be captivating. They have to, their stories have to grasp me. Otherwise, I just lose interest, and I see it as just a huge time sink. And I just mentioned that earlier, that I don't have a great deal of time to put into these. But if something's grabbed me by the balls and is dragging me through the story, I feel compelled to have to do it. So let's just hope for me. This is my my thoughts on it is, if the story is good enough and it captivates me. And I hope it is. I hope it's like that, because I want to play games. Like, I just don't feel like a lot of games recently have done that. I've played Watch Dogs 2, same kind of thing, open world, loads of shit to do, but the story just fell flat for me. There's just nothing there to grasp me.
I get that. You feel like it needs to earn your attention, and because to be fair, there are so many games now, so many good games. The release schedule last year was absolutely rammed full of stuff. Towards the tail end of last year, and we saw, the sales were lower on a lot of them, and all kinds of things like that. There is and we've covered it in the past on the channel, like saturation of things. There's so many games of the same type. So this being an open world third-person action adventure is like another one that was kind of, I can't help but feel a little bit like that when I see coverage of it before release. But when I'm seeing these reviews that are so positive. And for the reasons that I am interested in games as well, that kind of immersion and putting you deep into a world. That's why I play games, to be immersed and to pretend that I am a robot dinosaur hunter. That's what I want. So if that game can give me that experience, I'm open to it. So
you just wanted to say robot dinosaur once.
I can't stop saying robot dinosaur. It's such a what a phrase. Cybernetic future full of robot dinosaurs. Like, sold. But as far as this reception goes, and given the type of game it is, third person open world action adventure, do you think that's going to translate into sales? Do you think this game is going to sell well? If you compare to some of the last few games, the big releases, they haven't been selling that well. So how do you think this is going to go?
It's tough to say. It depends what is different about this game. What's its unique selling point?
Robot dinosaurs, guys.
Robot. Yeah, but that's a draw for you. But it's not. Is it enough of a draw for the general public? I'm not sure. For me, I'm going to get it anyway, because since I've seen the trailer, the cinematic trailer, it kind of looked like there was a good story and there's a good background to the whole story and things, and that's when it grasped me. That was like, that was the moment that was, I'm definitely going to get this game, because I just want to experience it. So I don't know. I guess word of mouth comes into a lot. Like with The Witcher 3, so many people bought it from word of mouth. Yeah. It's like, you can rate it on Metacritic all you want, but if your friends are talking about it, if they're saying this game is awesome, then that's how, again, that game ends up being well received and selling well. Your
friends, your favourite YouTubers, if all the comments and stuff are positive towards a game, that's just going to translate better into sales. And I think that is what Sony is kind of banking on with this. I think the fact that they've released the review code so early and things like that, I think maybe that pre-orders weren't as high as they were hoping for. Right. And this is pure speculation. Yeah, I haven't seen any headlines or anything, but this is a theory now. And I think they were so confident in it that they, in what Guerrilla Games have done, that they've just given it to reviewers and said,
super early,
get it out there, because you can see the Twitter accounts, all of the PlayStation Europe, PlayStation UK, they're all tweeting today. We're recording this on the day that the reviews went live. Yeah. They're all tweeting, you excited by the reviews?
Yeah.
Drop your pre-order right now, get your pre-orders in right now. So they were banking on this. They saw this coming, and I think that's part of it. They were trying to inject some kind of energy into the pre-order sweep before the game actually comes out, because there is plenty of time now for people to pre-order the game and get it day one. A lot of people will be pre-ordering the game today and throughout this week. With a new IP, even if it is Guerrilla Games, who made the Killzone series, which was awesome, even if you know who the developer is, it's still a new IP, and the world is so new and unique that you need to stimulate. You need to stimulate those pre-orders some way. So that's part of the reason that the reviews have come out so early, I think.
I think it will do well, because you look at Titanfall, the original did really well. You look at Watch Dogs, original did really well. It for me is like, when the sequel comes around, that might not do so. I don't know. Is consumer confidence so low that that's going to have an effect these days?
I think it's the fact that Titanfall was a bit of a disappointment and Watch Dogs was a huge disappointment because they'd hyped them up so high. Horizon, Sony have got a good knack for publicity, I think, because they hype things in a way that isn't. I don't know. They just haven't got. They've got more of a knack for it, where they generate excitement among people who, you know, they've got those Sony kind of Sony fanboys, Sony ponies, and that they can generate excitement without lying and without.
Are we talking about the same people who publicised Hello Games and No Man's Sky? Is that the same Sony you're talking about?
You're damn right. Yeah. So
a point well made there, Mike. I think.
But I think all that Hello Games stuff, I would put most of that down to Sean Murray personally, not even Hello Games.
Okay.
But when it comes to putting trailers out and stuff like that, I think No Man's Sky aside, they just know how to make something look cinematic and they know how to make something look exciting without pushing the boundaries of what the game actually looks like itself. But also, here's another super smooth segue on the topic of new IPs. For Honor, Ubisoft's new medieval melee fighting game, is #1 in the UK charts, and it's Ubisoft's first since The Division. For Honor is currently on 81 on Metacritic. I thought it would do pretty well. I thought it would be kind of an 8 out of 10, based on the betas. I played the closed down open beta, and I really enjoyed it. And what I just want to talk about with For Honor is how Ubisoft are at least trying new stuff now. They've had such a backlash over Assassin's Creed and, you know, Far Cry to a lesser extent, where they're just the same game over and over and over again. There is nothing like For Honor. It's a new kind of combat system. It's something that does need to be played to be believed. And again, kind of like Sony have done with Horizon, they've put it in the hands of people to let them experience it first. So Sony's given Horizon to reviewers early. Ubisoft gave For Honor to everyone because they want them to play it and experience it. They've also got Steep, the open world kind of, you know, extreme sports type thing. That's a new idea.
Yeah.
You know, The Division is quite. All right, The Division, I'm kind of the Division apologist. I think Division is pretty decent, to be honest, but I know a lot of people don't.
It does split a lot of people.
It does, yeah. And you know, for some reason, I always find myself on the side of people who do like the games. That you know, all these games like Destiny. I loved Destiny, and that is another game that people really love it, or they just think it's the worst game of all time. So, I always find myself on the side of people who love the game, that you know, if it's split the audience in some way.
Well, that's funny, because a lot of people say that all we are is negative on our channel.
Yeah,
but you just highlighted there in the fact that you're a glasses half full kind of person.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one weighing everyone down on this channel. Maybe I'm just very cynical.
Half of the glass.
I'm the old cynical guy in this equation.
No, I think talking about that, I think we just talk about the news a lot, don't we? It's reporting stuff and having opinions on it. That's just the nature of it. If you read the news, all of it is bad, pretty much. So yeah, that's what that's about. But For Honor, it's not bad. It's good. You didn't play the beta, did you? Or?
Well, no. This is my experience. I installed the beta on my PC. I've got a pretty good PC. It's got a i7 6700 processor. It's got a GTX 980, 32 gigabytes of RAM. I was thinking, this should run pretty sweet. So I fired up my my copy of my beta, and I didn't make it through the opening trailer or the opening scene.
Right.
You know, it was stuttering. It froze. It literally froze. It crashed out on me.
Oh my god!
Like it was like, right, I'm enjoying this cinematic trailer. It's awesome.
Yes,
this is cinematic intro. It was awesome, and then it kind of slowed down. It froze, and it was like I waited 5 seconds, then it came back. I was like, okay, I can manage this. Let's get out of this. I went to press escape, and it just completely froze on me. I was like, well, and I had to restart my computer. And that in itself angered me enough to never play the game again. Well,
zero tolerance.
No. This is the thing. See, I sound like I'm being very judgmental, but the thing is, I've only got a certain amount of time to play games, and if I can't get through the intro trailer of a game within 10 minutes and having to restart my computer, how it's already lost me. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, I succeed. I somehow got through the opening trailer.
No, but really, let's look at this. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. My computer is somewhat of a high spec.
I don't know what that was, but
there's no reason why it should be doing that.
No.
Absolutely no reason. I have no problem with any of the game that I've played, and it was a intro video trailer.
Yeah.
It was a video.
It's a good one. It's a good cinematic trailer, but
which I couldn't enjoy.
Well, the game, for those of us lucky enough to get through to play
you lucky bastards who got to play it.
Yeah, I mean, the performance-wise, I thought it was good. There's a lot of talk about this peer-to-peer kind of thing, and there's no dedicated servers, so that can cause problems, and a lot of people have reported problems. Obviously, it's useless for anyone to say what I'm about to say, but I didn't experience any problems myself.
But let's talk about what platform you played on.
I played it on PC, and then so this is what I was actually about to go into. I played it on PC. I played the closed beta on PC, and I really enjoyed it. Other than the mouse controls, which I thought were a little bit awkward, it's obviously been designed for a controller and an analog stick in mind, which is fine. I mean, it's on 3 platforms. It's just that the whole system, the whole combat system, where you've got the 3 kind of the 3 ways to attack and block. That is all built around analog movement. So. Yeah, I was playing it on PC, and it ran great, and it looked beautiful, and it was very satisfying and enjoying. And the combat, I thought, was just so deep, and there's so many things you can do. You can attack in so many ways. You can defend yourself in so many ways, and it's quite a good learning curve. Like you start off for a lot of the time, the first few hours, I was just like attacking the minions, and I was getting battered by the other players and whatever. But then you get that kind of, you do settle into the way the game wants you to play. It doesn't want you to go in there swinging your sword around or whatever. It wants you to play it a certain way. So then I moved over to the PlayStation version. The PStation version, I mean, the frame rate was
for the open beta. That's right.
Yeah, for the open beta. Yeah, the frame rate was a lot lower and things like that. And I just kind of didn't. I didn't dig it as much as I did the PC version. But it's still the core of the game was still enjoyable, and I really liked it.
Now let's talk about why you didn't enjoy it so much. Let's be specific here, man.
Well,
not that we're anti console, but it's worth noting.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was just the kind of focus on online now. So when I'm playing on the PlayStation and the frame rate, if I feel like it's not responding as good as it can and should do because the frame rate's a little bit lower, then I'm going to favour PC. But just that focus on online play, it's Ubisoft are making games now in such a way that everything needs to be connected to online, so they can put like microtransactions and stuff like that in it, and they want to get people connected to online in throughout the game. So even when you're playing Division, when you're solo playing the Division, you're still part of an online world. And the same, For Honor, there's no online world, but there's this meta game where there's a kind of there's a war going on, so there's a kind of overview map where you can, where depending on how successful you are, if you win a game, then you get some points that you can put down on the map and help contribute to this broader kind of struggle. But I don't know if focusing online like this is such a good move for Ubisoft, because a lot of their biggest games in the past have been like single player. They've been Assassin's Creed is one of the biggest gaming franchise that there is today. I mean, alongside Call of Duty and stuff, is one of the ones that make the most kind of money and everything. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting the way that they're putting everything into multiplayer now. Even Steep, this extreme sports game.
Well, that's to combat piracy, though, isn't it? Surely
it probably is. It probably is something to do with this. They've just figured out that they're not losing as much money with online games, and they're probably making more money in other ways with microtransactions and stuff like that.
It's one way to justify it always being online, isn't it? It's like the DRM thing. You don't need DRM if you have to be online. You have to. The game files have to be
exactly
like certified.
So yeah, For Honor, despite all that, despite the online only, despite the peer-to-peer connection, and despite the fact that a lot of people were quite cynical of whether it would actually be any good, because it does look, I mean, although it looks gorgeous, it does look quite generic. I mean, it is like knights, Vikings and samurais, and the single player story is just, from what I've seen of it, is just why is it even there? It's just it's so generic. But despite all of that, it's still managed to top the sales charts, and it's the first time that a Ubisoft game has done that since the Division, and it's got a decent Metacritic score. So overall, it's a success for Ubisoft, and I'm just glad, I think, that a game that does try and do new stuff, a game that's got a completely new combat system, is succeeding. I'm just kind of glad to see that, I guess.
Yeah, I think overall there are like the Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a new it's a new game, and we're glad to see that it's been received well. It's the same with For Honor. New game, new IP. We're glad to see that that's doing well, and maybe that's encouragement for these companies in future. Where recently we've had Watch Dogs 2 do crap. We've had Titanfall 2 do crap. We've had a numerous amount of sequels that have done quite badly. Now these original IPs, they're doing really well. Hopefully they'll get through to their thick skulls.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm being unnecessarily aggressive here, but that's kind of what I do. Hopefully they gets through to them that they can make money by making new games.
Well, that's what it takes, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. If it does make money, then you can bet your ass it'll happen again. That's what it comes down to. If Horizon goes on to make a lot of money and For Honor goes on to make a lot of money, then it's not just the fact that they'll keep Horizon on as a new franchise and keep making more Horizon games. They'll just see that you can make new IPs that work with, okay, it's full of old ideas, full of old open world kind of tropes, but everything else about it is interesting and new. So you can do that and still make a crap ton of money. So thanks a lot for listening to the first Pretty Good podcast, guys. If you have any questions for us in future, any topics or news you want us to talk about, do let us know down in the comments. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for listening. I've been Mike Williams.
I'm Gareth Evans.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.